Red Dead Redemption 2 is pretty good, but it's still one of the most overrated games I've ever played. I think people are getting thrown off by the graphics of the game,
which are really good by the way,
and are overlooking the major issues that this game has. Also, it is a Rockstar game, so it's bound to get a lot of attention. The game is being treated like the fucking Lord Jesus of video games, and therefore I will mostly talk about the negative aspects of Red Dead 2. But first, what does the game do right? Well, first off, the open world is amazing. The world feels alive and has interesting NPCs who never stop surprising me with new interactions. Red Dead 2's greatest achievement is the open world, and I would even say it's the best one I've ever played in. The characters are well written and different enough to tell apart from each other, despite the fact that they all get thrown in your face immediately when you start the game. It was pretty confusing for me at the start since I didn't play Red Dead 1, but it became clear after a while. The way characters change from start to end is done perfectly too. Everything to do with sound is very well executed, from voice acting to gunshots to music, everything fits perfectly. And the amount of stuff Rockstar managed to put into this one game is mind-blowing. Animal species, side activities, and levels of detail all help you get immersed into this large living world. But, believe it or not, Rockstar added too much stuff. Now, I'm not talking about animal species or activities that you can choose yourself if you want to do or not, but rather the details which affect the gameplay in a negative way. Because there is a line where something goes from fascinating and impressive to irritating and chore-like. Cleaning your gun, setting up campfires to regain cores, looting and skinning one object at a time, cleaning your character, changing clothes when going to places with different temperatures, the bounty system, and horse stamina all become irritating at some point in the story, and when the story is 300,000 fucking hours long, all of these details just function as road bumps that slow you down. It begs the question if realism should be prioritized over just plain fun, and it should definitely not in my opinion. But it looks like Rockstar disagrees with me. The activity you do the most in Red Dead Redemption 2 by far is riding your horse from one place to another, and they sure made it frustrating. Now it is easy to control where your horse is going compared to other games, but the overall gameplay on top of a horse is very bad. You continuously spam the X button to make your horse speed up for a good 10 seconds before it's tired and has to walk normally for half the time. You can hold a medium tempo for a longer time, but it just feels underwhelming and slow. When going far distances, your horse gets tired and forces you to feed it and set up a campfire, which gets so boring after the first 3 times. And also, but the worst thing about horses is when riding with another character. No matter how much you spam the X button, your horse will follow the other person's tempo, and he or she rides so slow. I know I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey's horse gameplay is better in my opinion. I mean, at least you don't have to mash any buttons there. Please don't kill me.
Hey there, pal. Can you help me? Could use some help finding my way home.
You might say the open world removes dead time by offering strangers and side missions to keep you busy. And yes, it makes the experience better to some degree, but the game is so long you have to focus on the story at some point, unless you want to finish the game in a couple of years. The only other game where going from place to place has been such a big part of the entire experience is in Spider-Man, but in that game it is actually fun to get around. In Red Dead 2 it is below average to say the least. The gameplay outside of horse riding is better, but still not impressive. It's the classic Rockstar auto-aim, tilt-up, boom, headshot, nothing new here besides Deadeye and some fancy kill cams. Which are good, don't get me wrong, but is not enough to make the gameplay exciting. The game is not challenging in any way, shape or form either, and it plays itself to some degree. But the story is good, right? Well, yes, but actually no. Chapter 1 is just straight shit, but it's the tutorial, so it's not that big of a deal. After that, you ride down and meet an enormous open world. You make a new camp, and then Dutch says it.
Now we need money. Tahiti.
And then the forgettable GTA Online type missions start rolling in. To be fair, there are some fun and memorable missions during the first half of the game, but it drowns in boring get there, collect or talk to that. Oh no, an ambush! Shootout and then escape. But you may say,
But Strozzi, this is just build up for the characters before the real story sets in.
now while that may be true, this is the first game to completely pause the story to get money for half the fucking game. Now, all other games I've played develop the characters as the story goes on, but here the story is set on pause, doing mission after mission, collecting money with little to no feeling of risk, reward or setups. Around halfway into the story, things start to play out, and for the game to have had pacing as slow as my fucking League of Legends rank, the last half is rushed. Groups of people are getting introduced way too late to make me care about them, and characters' motives and standards get overflowed by meaningless gunfire. Now, the story here is at least more enjoyable, and I won't argue with the fact that there are some clever twists and turns by the end, but I can't really say it's a good story when it's debatable that the first half even is a story. I feel the same way with the epilogue as I do with the main story, but there are more memorable missions in the epilogue compared to the forgettable ones. But the missions that are non-important to the story are actual chores.
It's early summer at the farm, and morning chores are fast. First, we check the baby chicks. This coop holds both meat birds and young layers.
When I finished Red Dead 2, I was left with the feeling of finally I'm done with this game, because it dragged on too long in my opinion, and there was little feeling of progression to keep me invested. Like money, for example, you're wasting your time earning money in the open world when you get stacks upon stacks from completing story missions. I had way too much to spend very early on. Call this game revolutionary all you want, but it does not hide the fact that the game lacks simple traits that most other good games get right. Now, what Red Dead 2 does get right, it executes perfectly. Characters, open world and sound design, that is. But graphics, details and realism does not make up for exciting gameplay or a well-written story. If you make a game that is supposed to be entertaining without being fun, the game needs something to keep me invested. The story is not good enough to do that, the gameplay is way too stale, and the open world is very interesting, but you earn little to no rewards by exploring. At the end of the day, this is not really my type of game, but I can see people liking it either way. If you like being able to turn a page only to find a completely fucking blank side, this is definitely the game for you. Therefore, I can recommend Red Dead 2 for people interested in an amazing open world with lots of lovable characters and generally beautiful and detailed visuals. But if you're looking for a fun game with challenging gameplay and a consistent story, I have many other games I would rather recommend. I don't know what I would rate Red Dead to, but it would either be a strong 6 or a weak 7 out of 10, I think. Wait a second. You can have a raccoon hat? Well, oh my lord, it's definitely a 7 out of 10. Wait, horse balls can shrink in the snow.
10 out of 10 game of the year for Make Man Some Cody.
And the online is ass.